Good morning, everyone. Jimmy back here with the Ziggy Brothers, and today is, I think it's October 4th, and take a look at these trees here. Wow, they're coming down pretty quick, a little bit earlier than last year, I'd say. These trees right here, they're almost ready to go. They're dropping their leaves like crazy, which leads us into the topic of our landscaping business. We're going to be getting this truck set up for the leaf box. This is one of two dump trucks that we run for the leaf season. This is our 2000 F450 7.3 diesel. It's got a 12-foot landscape dump body on the back, and I'm going to run you guys through the process of setting up this leaf box today. We have a nice how-to video on how to build the most efficient leaf box. With the whole leaf loader setup and everything, what we think works best and what works best for us. That's from last year. Today we're just going to run through setting it up, kind of getting our stuff going for the year, because before no time I think we're going to be doing some leaf cleanups in the upcoming week or so, maybe 2 weeks, depending on what people's properties are doing. But stuff like this is pretty much ready to go. So let's take a little bit of a walk. We keep all of our leaf equipment in one spot throughout the year when we don't use it. That's very important, because a lot of people leave their leaf boxes on year round, or they leave their leaf loader on year round, or they leave it outside, or they don't cover it, which leads to a lot of problems. Mainly water gets in the engines of these leaf loaders. This is our we got two identical ones. These are Little Wonders, which I'll show you guys a little bit later, them hooking them up. But they're 18 horsepower Little Wonder leaf loaders, and we have our big tow behind freight end leaf loader. And what people do though is they'll leave these things outside. They get water in them. You know, you only use them once a year for, I don't know, maybe a little over a month, depending on where you're at, how long the season extends. Maybe a little bit longer than that, 2 months or so. But they leave them outside. Water condensation builds up, leads to a lot of carburetor problems, leads to condensation in the oil. You get water in your oil, it'll find a way to get in there, and people run into those problems, and then you're looking at an engine for one of these things. But we keep everything in this one shed stored away, nice and as neat as it can be. We got one mower in here, but the rest of it's all leaf equipment, the hoses and all the stuff. So that's here, it's tucked away. We know it's in a safe spot for the whole year, and when it's time to get them ready, which happens to be today, we're ready to go. But let's just take a closer look at these things. So like I said, these are Vanguards. They're a little bit dusty. We're going to go through them, clean them up before we get started today. We're going to do an initial oil change, put a new battery on it, go through the whole tune-up basically. But they were properly winterized last season with the right fuel stabilizer. But yeah, so I started cleaning this out a little bit this morning, getting some more visual what we got. These are the chutes for the leaf loaders. You notice that we don't keep them as one unit. They're two different units, which I'll explain why once we get this started. But I'm going to pull these out with our forks, and we'll go through the oil change and the service. But first I'm going to get into the topic of actually building our box, and kind of more of what we found has worked best over the years. We've done a lot of different things over the years, and some stuff has not worked and some stuff has worked. And I'm going to try to save you the hassle if you're doing a leaf box. Maybe it's your first one, or you're looking for an efficient setup. I'm going to just try to save you the hassle, or maybe you can learn something or do something different this year, because it's one of those things when leaves comes up, you always say, oh, I'll get through the year, and then next year I'll do it different, and then you get to the next year and you don't end up changing a thing, because you only think it's a month and a half or so out of the year. And whatever you got to do to squeak by, you'll get down to the next year, and it's just tempting to do it that way. But take this year and do something different if you want to, and make this the year to go forward and do it. Maybe you'll learn something from the way I'll show you how we do it. But take this year and stop going through that repetitive cycle of barely squeaking through building your leaf box, barely squeaking through getting your leaf loader on your truck and all that. Do it now, and then the years going forward, you can do it right every single time, and you have a system set up so that when it comes to be this time, September, late September, October, when you start thinking about setting up your leaf box, you know you got all your ducks in a row and you're ready to go. With that said, let me show you what we do. So to start us off here, right, the concept of a leaf box is to make your dump body bigger than it is already, or you got a pickup truck, whatever. Make the body bigger to fit the leaves, as many leaves as you can, without like hitting obstructions overhead like wires and stuff like that. But also make it so that it's not going to fall apart and crumble on you in the middle of the season. So it's a fairly simple concept, but there's many different ways to do it. Like you're going to, obviously you need a mesh tarp over the top or some sort of wooden box. A lot of people go the wooden route and they completely box it up, that's an option, but you know, wood's really expensive. And if it gets wet over time, it tends to break down and start to weaken and stuff like that. Wood's a fine option, but it's expensive and it takes a lot longer to put that together than what I'm going to show you today. A mesh tarp, if you purchase a good one, should last you for a long time, which we reuse them every single year. And our leaf box is shaped like an arch, right? It goes up and over, and basically you put the tarp over top. Some people drape their tarp over top and it goes flat from side to side, but you're really missing out on that extra bit that you can fit leaves in. So you need some sort of structure to hold it in. Like I said before, wood. A lot of people will do a metal pole, which is fine too. Those are easily removable, but then you're looking at welding and more craft and fabrication, more so than it has to be, in my opinion. What we use is PVC pipes. These things are super easy to use. You can reuse them every year. We just throw them out at the end of the year because they're not that expensive. And rather than trying the hassle of trying to find them every time, or they're getting in the way or something, we throw them out. We buy brand new ones that we know are straight and they're good. They're not bent from the whole season before, and we use that. Why? Because they're flexible. And if I'll crawl up in the truck here, you've seen our video last year. If you have, we have our brackets in place already. I've shown you how to do this. We did this as a very basic video. We welded these pipe couplers on here, and you don't have to weld it. You can U-bolt these things to the side, but the idea is that this diameter of this pipe coupler is larger than the diameter of the pipe, so the pipe fits in it and it holds it steady, and then the pressure of our tarp from the top holds it all together. But you can see to the right, this was from the old setup. These were metal pipes that we pulled out and removed every year. We kind of didn't go that route because it was hard to get a metal pipe to bend all the way, and they were breaking. After the whole year goes on, they would weaken and then they would break at some point, and then we had to get new ones made up. And it was a lot more expensive than just going with a PVC pipe. Like I said, you could just throw it away at the end of the year if you want. You make so much money during leaves, just throw it away and get a new one. That's our theory. Rather than having to store them for a year and find them for something that costs nothing, throw them away and get a new one, and get one that's in strong shape, that's brand new. But anyways, just for an example, I'll show you. These are our pipes. They're 1/2-inch PVC pipes, right? Nothing crazy. But from the fabrication work before that we had, I welded these on. Like I said, you can U-bolt anything on here as long as it can hold this pipe. The pipe slots in right here. Ooh, this is kind of tough, but there we go. Look at that. It slots in, and then it bends to the other side, and it slots in this one. You'll notice that these pipes are a little bit short, but this is the point. It goes here and it arches, and these are strong enough to hold a tarp, and when it's all thrown together, you'll see that it stays together and it doesn't come out. I'm going to explain something else to you though. These are 10-foot pipes. You get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, but they're a little bit short. They can be longer. We're trying to maximize the potential of this dump body. Like I said, you want to get the most amount without hitting stuff overhead like wires and stuff. It all depends on what you're dealing with, what your dump body is and how high off it is, the ground with the wheels and the truck. And like I said, there's a million different trucks, a million different things going on here. But we actually take these, they only come in 10 feet, and we're going to make them 12 footers with some couplers right here. So we couple them together, I'll show you the whole process. We throw a quick screw through it, and we make this 10-foot pipe become a 12-foot pipe so that it fits our brackets perfectly, and it sits down there snug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on building these pipes real quick into 12 footers. It's very simple. Like I said, you take one 10-footer. This truck actually happens to require 4 pipes for the way it's set up. So we got our 4 10-footers, and then this is for one of our other trucks, but we have an extra pipe here that we're going to cut into 2-foot sections real quick, and I'll show you what we end up with. Boom, just like that. 2-foot pipe section. Now we can couple these two, and now we got a 12-foot pipe. And so what we found has worked best with this is, why are we using 1/2-inch pipes and not something even bigger, maybe a little bit smaller or whatever? 1/2-inch works the best because it flexes the best, and it's the strongest for how much it can flex. Like a 3/4-inch pipe, it can flex a little bit, but it's a lot. And what we saw when we were doing it with those ones is, as the season goes on, there's so much tension on the flexing part that it tends to wear out wherever it's bending, and then it breaks. These don't do that. Rarely do they break, unless you got like a ton of snow or something on it. If it happens to snow, we've had them break when we've had a couple early snowstorms, and it's been sitting on the tarp, stuff like that. But other than that, just the general use of the season, these don't break. They work perfectly fine. Let's take a look at what we got over here in terms of just a coupler, standard 1/2-inch coupler. We like to cement these in. I know we're not holding any water. We're not holding really pressure from water or fluids going through this thing. I like to cement them in though, and just put an extra screw through the coupler when I'm done, just for extra reassurance. We've gone years where we haven't done anything, we just coupled them and it's worked fine, but we've also had a few of them that ended up popping out of the coupler. But we like to just make that extra assurance that it's not going to pop out through the end of the season. But they work perfect. I mean, 12-foot pipe is what we have found is best, and it's unfortunate that they don't sell them in that length. So anywhere around here at least. So we just got to make them. No big deal. All right, so just standard cement. Like I said, I just like the extra reassurance. If you're doing it, maybe you don't want to do it, but this stuff is cheap enough to do it, and we'll save it for the whatever other PVC projects we may end up having. And these lids on these things are always impossible to get open. Boom. Straightforward and simple. Alright, and then you just take a simple screw on either end and just put it through real quick. Put one on that end, and then we alternate it, put one on this end. And this is our pipe. We're done. Here's one out of 4 for this truck. Our other truck has 5 brackets, but that's it. One self-tapper, one self-tapper. We cemented it together. We know this isn't going to fall out because we have done this for the past few years and have not had one problem with it coming out. All right, so I got my 4 pipes made. Nothing crazy, but they're good. They will work for the whole season, and we'll just pop them in here to our brackets. Now look at that. In about, I don't know, 15 minutes, not even, my box is built. The structure of it, to say. And I just want to show you guys the brackets one more time. So what I have on here, these are 3/4 inch like pipe couplings with the you know, the for the threaded ones. They're supposed to be for metal, but we have our 1/2 inch PVC pipe, and it comes down in here, and it's not that much for it to bite in, but there's threads on the inside. So once the tarp's on here and it's all pushed, like pulled down secure, I mean, this is not going to fall out. It's almost impossible for this to fall out. It would have to be like turned this way and then pulled up, but I think it's a pretty good setup. So like I said, these were our old brackets. We used to do the metal rails on this truck. Up until last year, we went PVC with this one. Our other 550, we've done PVC for like the past 6 or 7 years at least. So we got rid of the metal ones because they were finally starting to crumble, and they were just a pain in the butt. They weren't arched correctly like this. They didn't fit the most amount of leaves, so we junked them. And I welded this on the pipe coupling because I know how to weld. If you don't know how to weld, this is still doable by just in terms of drilling holes and U-bolting this to the side of your body somewhere. You might have to shimmy it down a little bit. Maybe you U-bolt it to this flat part if you got ridges in your dump body. But it's doable to get that bracket mounted on there without welding. But if you can weld, hey, it's easier, and it's on there all year round. And then you just pop your pipes in when you're ready. So the structure of our leaf box is done. We're gonna do the tarp here in a little bit once I get some help from Steve, because it's a 2-person job to get this all secured in. So we'll take a step back here, we'll look at this, and that's just the bare bones of it. But you can see how much higher up our dump body is actually extended now for leaves. You're probably thinking, well, maybe I could put 15-footers on my truck. It all depends on what your truck is set up for, how high it is, because you can't run too high or else you're gonna hit stuff. Like I said, this is the perfect height for us. We found we don't hit anything, and you can't really go much more than this for this truck, but we can fit a crap ton of leaves in this thing now, and make it worthwhile. If we have to go dump leaves somewhere, we're not dumping the truck 400 times, we're dumping it once, rather than going there multiple times. And before I forget to mention, I just want to say that the bottom of these pipe couplers, we just put a plug in them so that the pipe obviously can't go through. You don't want the pipe to go through the coupler, because then it's gonna shrink your box down over time. It's not gonna do you any good. So we screw in a cap on the end, little plug. You can see it. And then I went with the grinder. Last year we didn't do this, but I went with the grinder this year, and I just cut a little slit in it, just that if any water does happen to collect in there, it drains down. Last year we didn't really have too much of a problem with that, but I noticed that some of them had a little bit of rust in them. So I just cut a little slit so that water can drain out of that, or drill a hole or whatever. But you're probably also wondering, why do we have this metal pipe? I mean, this is just to show you how versatile this whole concept can be. You don't have to do it the way that we do it, or maybe you take a few things away from this and run with it, think outside the box, do it your own way, of course. But this is you could do the same exact thing with a pipe like this. The inside diameter of that pipe is bigger than this pipe, so I think this is, I forget what size this is, but this is like a piece of conduit pipe, one size bigger than this PVC pipe. So it'll do the same thing as the pipe coupler if you weld it or you U-bolt it to the side. And you can just cut this into little, I don't know, 4 or 5 inch sections and go about what you got to do if you don't want to do the pipe coupling thing. But anyways, this isn't the full how-to video. This is just showing you what I'm doing today. If you want to see the full how-to, I have it linked in the description. And I think we do a good job in that video outlining step by step what to do. We took a lot of time on that one, and it was more in detail. But if you're interested in doing this how-to, definitely check out the link. So we got them out here in the clear view, and now we could take a little bit of a better look. These machines are identical. Like I said, they're little wonder 18 horsepower, and they've been our machines for the past few years. They've been terrific. Let's see here. Well, they're reversed here because one's facing the other way. But like I said, properly winterized last January, I think, is when we ended up actually putting these things away. And they'll start right up. No questions. I know they're going to start. They're missing the keys because we probably at some point during the year we probably stole those keys for some other machine that didn't have a key, since it's a universal one. But we'll get them replaced real quick. And screwdriver will work for now just to get them running. But yeah, let's see the batteries. The batteries I think are a year old, but they've been sitting, so who knows if they work. They're probably just going to throw new batteries on them because you don't want to get into the season. And I mean, the pull starts are a good backup on this machine, but the way that we have it set up, the electric start really works well for us because there's not much access for the pull start. So probably going to end up replacing them. We'll see. And then we're going to change the oil. Like I said, condensation has been a whole year. And maybe we didn't use them that much. They're full. Maybe we didn't use them that much last year to require an oil change, like meeting the hourly basis. Maybe we didn't, but because we split them, all of our hours between the two machines, and then I think one of them ends up getting used a little bit more on this truck. The other truck usually has the tow behind, so one of them doesn't get used that much, and then the tow behind gets used a lot. And frankly, we don't have that many suck-up jobs anymore with the leaves. We're trying to avoid as much of them if they're not priced correctly. Like, we won't go do that for just to volunteer our time. We don't do that anymore. It's all priced correctly because dumping these leaves is expensive. So we're trying to avoid losing money on dumping leaves. Like, we wouldn't just get a job to just to get a job, you know. We've talked about this all year. We don't just get a job just to get the job, even if the price isn't correct. No, the price has to be correct on everything for us to really do it, because the expenses are through the roof. It's got to be worth it. It's got to be profitable. So we don't have as many jobs where we go around and have to take the leaves out just because the people don't agree with the price, because we got to dump the leaves, and that's coming out of our pocket. So anyways, I'm getting a little bit on the sidetrack. I'll talk a little bit about these mounting setups on the trucks. So years ago, we used to do hang the blower, the vacuum on the back of the tailgate or the door, or hang it somewhere in the back if it's not a tow behind, like for these truck loaders. We used to hang them, strap them to the tailgate, do whatever. We've had doors made up for this truck. You can see the extra holes drilled in this particular one. Had a whole door fabricated for this leaf loader idea of putting the loader up here, and we've gone away from that. It works, but there's a better way, in our opinion. We like to keep the leaf loader. One year we came up with this idea: put the leaf loader underneath the dump body and have a removable plate, and have the leaf loader shoot the leaves up from the bottom through the chute into the dump body, so that the leaf loader is attached to the truck and not the body. This is good for a number of reasons. Number one, it's lower to the ground. You can see our brackets here. Our leaf loader sits somewhere right about here. It's very low to the ground, so we rarely ever clog the hose. Rather than fighting to get sticks and debris up, our debris has to just basically go horizontal into the chute. So that works very well, because then after it gets chewed up by the turbine underneath there and it shoots up, rarely does it ever clog in the actual metal chute. A lot of the clogging occurs in the hose itself. So when we do this, we minimize any clogging in the hose, and then we know it's not going to get clogged in the chute. So it works pretty much for the whole year. With, I'll say maybe we get 1 or 2 clogs here if the leaves are very wet, but it works very well. Whereas when we had it hanging from the door, constantly the hose was clogging. Especially if you have the leaf loader mounted with the hose facing this way, and then the hose comes out and it turns back towards this way. that extra bend in it really sucks because it gets clogged on the turn. And even if you have the leaf loader facing out this way and the chute going in, just the uphill battle of getting the leaves up that high through the hose, we found sucks. So mount it as low as we can. And number two is we do it this way because the leaf loader stays with the truck when the truck dumps. It doesn't go dump with the body. And part of the problem with that is you flood out the carb sometimes, depending on what model it is, if you're dumping it like that. Filling it up is very hard when it's up that high. And then it's just, yeah, when you dump the body goes separate. So we have our chute mounts to the dump body, but the leaf loader is on the bottom. It's basically like a walker mower where the body of the dumper goes up, but the actual turbine stays stationary, and it works perfect. But filling it up down here is a lot easier than climbing up to fill it up with gas. And then also with the trailer towing, especially this trailer, this one's a short one, we were digging into this enclosed trailer all the time. Not this one, it was a one in the past that looked terrible, but it was always hitting this on turns in a cul-de-sac or something like that, and it was just a pain in the butt when it was mounted on the truck versus underneath. And if you have an open trailer, that's a different story. But like I said, we've moved away from that tailgate solution, and we've done it this way for the past several years, and we have not had a single problem with it being here, and no complaints. I would do this on every single truck that has a leaf box if you can fit it. Hopefully you can get it fitted down here. We had these brackets are welded together and then bolted to the frame. You could pretty much build your whole support system out of nuts and bolts if you really had to. You don't have to really weld anything, but this is just angle iron with holes drilled in it for the leaf loader, and then we just have our hole right there for the chute to go through and a removable plate, so that when we're mulching during the year, putting grass or whatever in here, it doesn't fall down. And then everybody gets all hung up on the fact of cutting a hole in their dump body. It's a work truck. It's serving its purpose. It's making you money, and you got to look at this. I mean, this looks perfectly fine. The rest of the truck's all dirty. It works, and it functions better than this other option. So don't be scared to cut a hole in your dump body. It's a piece of metal. It's not going to get mad at you. The truck's not going to be mad that you cut a hole in it because it doesn't have feelings. It's a piece of equipment, and it's there to make you money. So don't be scared of that. It's fine. And to prove it to you too, it's not only me telling you that this is a good setup. That video that we did last year, the how-to, got so much positive feedback. We converted a lot of people to do it this way. A lot of people ditched their old setup and they went this way. And every single person who's done it, they say they'll never go back. They'll never do it the other way of hanging on the tailgate. They'll do it this way. So it's just positive reinforcement. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you? Just like that. 4 bolts, and it's in.
It is. Look at it. It looks good. And we got our plate removed too, so now it's just, look at that.
Now the chute just bolts into the dump body.
Yeah.
Not sure if you guys have seen the video from last fall.
Yeah.
That was on the green truck, but it's the same exact thing here.
Yeah.
We got the square cut for the chute. We got a plate that goes over it for the whole year for when we do our mulch and topsoil and whatnot, and stone. And then you simply just take that plate out and put the chute in, which is right here. And it has its own bracket welded to it. And the chute itself stays stationary with the dump body. When it dumps down, when it was fabricated, all the measurements and everything was taken into consideration. So when the dump body is completely flat, that's flat on top of here.
Perfect. And then the chute goes through and it mates up nicely. Just like that.
Last year's video, we probably mentioned that we're not huge fans of bungee cords. I mean, if it's on the inside of the body, you can't see them anyway, but if your truck looks like it's whole rigged up, I mean, just driving down the road. That's personally not how I like to do it. I like to use the self-tappers, and we use the same hole every single year with the self-tappers. We just get a new self-tapper, but use the same washers over and over. Put them in a bag in the glove box, and we're ready to go. Putting the bolt here allows the door to still be able to open up, because then the next bolt goes over here, and this is just tight enough that the door is still able to open. So when the truck's empty, the hose could be in here. There's no bungee cords in the front whatsoever. It gets zipped down here. It goes under the existing tarp. The only bungee cords that we have are on the back that hold this down, so you can open it, so you can open the doors to dump it. But everything's internal. As you can see, this was our dad's truck that we bought from him years ago, or 2 years ago. And years ago, he used to do the bungee cord method, where he has these U-bolts that are still in place that we should just cut off. But I mean, they're everywhere. And his box was on the outside. He'd start his leaf loader up, and the leaves would be shooting out the sides. And that's just not how we do it. We don't want to have to blow off when we're done sucking up a pile of leaves. Specifically, if it's just a client that's curbside pickup, we just pull up with the truck with the leaf sucker underneath it, or the tow behind one, and we don't have to blow anything off because nothing goes out. So we know that this is our starting point here. Now we can just kind of work our way back, and the holes should somewhat align. Like you can see, the next one is right here. Yeah. And so on and so forth. We'll just run around, and we'll show how we finish it off at the back and what it kind of looks like.
Everything, just to re-emphasize, everything's on the inside except for the back doors, because you need to open them. Other than that,
Same thing with the brackets. Did you show them already?
Yeah, I did.
How we could take the pipe out right now if we wanted to, but these are welded in place, and they're just there forever.
I mean, and then once the tarp pulls down, there's enough pressure on it, it's not going to pop
keeps
out.
The pipes in. The only thing we've done this year versus the other years, we cut a little hole. Did you show this already?
Yeah. Yeah, we just cut the little hole for drainage purposes, but that's it.
Because water sits in those things and was kind of eating away at the pipe over the 2 months. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking dump box, because most people go with 10-foot pipes. We go 12 to make it a little bit higher, but that's because we can fit more material in. And this is what it'll look like once the doors are closed. This is the only spot, like we said, where there's bungee cords. So the doors are closed. Of course, you can't have these on the inside, because you need a spot to access it. I guess we could bungee these on the inside, but then we jump up there sometimes to pack the leaves down, and we won't be able to get in. So this comes down on the back. And this truck also has the barn doors that have the holes in it, so we like to pull these nice and tight.
Show them how you bungee it on down and under.
Yeah, just use this as like a...
Oh, we need a new bungee cord.
We could zip tie it together. And we probably have, what, 50 bungees behind the seat?
Yeah.
That one is okay. So down and under, right?
Yeah, just as like a counter.
Like a fulcrum, is that the word I'm looking for?
Maybe.
Probably not. Probably sounds stupid, right? And this will do the same thing. Down and under with a bungee, and we'll maybe just throw a small one in the middle. I think that's what we usually do.
Yeah.
Grab 2 more.
The PVCs are doing their job. They're flexible. That's the point.
Funny thing is, there's no bungees behind the seat.
There's a couple.
There we go.
That's not the right one.
We use this red one's always been good to us in the past 20 years. We'll use that one. And then this one should be a shorter one. In the middle. Always helped us out too. It sounds really stupid, but when some guys have 10 trucks, some guys have 15 trucks, some guys have 5 trucks, might only have 1 truck. We have 2 trucks we set the leaf boxes up on, and the tarps are different for each one, because the other tarp has a hole in the back of it. It's just easier when we fold it up just to put a tag on it. Something as stupid as that sounds, a tag for which truck it goes for. So, for example, we're not setting the other truck up for another week and a half or so to 2 weeks, and we didn't have to go digging through the shed to find the other tarp. We just found the one that said F450 on it. The stupid things can go a long way in saving time.
That's that.
We're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, we got to throw the chute on.
Yeah, throw the chute on, but then this truck will be ready for leaves. It looks clean from the side. It looks good, and then the back, of course,
back's always hooked up to the trailer, though.
Yeah, it's function over.
What I like to do is I like to hook the hose up for the first time at home, just in case these get mangled up a little bit. And when you get to the first job and you end up needing a mallet or a hammer to straighten these things out.
There's a go. We'll go. There it goes.
All right, so we know that this fits.
And what's also beneficial with the side door, we could throw the hose right in there.
I said that already.
Oh.
You don't listen sometimes. So when the truck is empty or if it fills the back of the truck forward, this is usually not filled with leaves. We can still, even half full, put this hose in the truck. If we are going door to door, which we once again shoot for route density with curbside pickups, we can leave the hose hooked up if we're going a short distance. But then it would just blow right out. We've always had it mounted this way, sideways, and it always works well.
It's just the right one, right? There you go. So it sits there. Bolts, do we have them?
Huh?
Do we have the bolts?
Bolt should be right on the front seat.
Gotta wiggle it. Alright.
It's all set. Got our chute in place, and we put the dump body down.
Yeah, now you really get to see how it actually goes together. Basically though, it is like a walker mower where the dumper is just its own thing.
And it comes down to the top of the board.
Perfect. And the gasket's in there, and you don't need any bolts or anything because the weight of the dump body's pushing it down. And it's perfect. So we should be good to go, right?
Yeah, we got our hose in there. This needs some WD-40, but back the dump truck up, and this one is ready to rock, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so just to wrap this video up, there's identical carbon copy of the Little Wonder. We did not buy them at the same time, but they are the same exact thing. So this is, as you can tell, this was off of the other dump truck, as you can tell with the plate. It's kind of similar looking to the one we just put in to that truck. But this is for sale. We mounted them both last fall, and last fall was the first season of using our tow behind leaf sucker on the other truck, and this one didn't get started once the entire fall. Just because that truck had the freight and tow behind on it for the entire fall. So why let this sit another fall? It literally we didn't use it at all last year. We mounted it, we set the whole pipe up, and we just didn't use it at all. So we're going to use this truck primarily for the smaller jobs, I guess. If we're sending Papa Zig to go do a small cleanup by himself, and then the big sucker will come, the leaf floater, no, let's correct that. Someone last year said stop calling it a leaf sucker. That's what it is, it's a leaf sucker. But the big leaf loader is going to be on that dump truck, so there's no sense in, mounting this. If the big leaf loader blows up, we don't have that many suck up jobs anyway. We have to haul the leaves away, so this truck will do just fine. So we're going to sell this. If anyone's interested, hopefully by the time you see this video, it'll be available still. We're going to throw it on Facebook now. This one starts right up and is in just as good of shape, if not better, than the other one. This was actually purchased it's a year or two newer than that other one. So this is about 3 or 4 years old. This one's perfect. The battery's in perfect shape. Electric start, pull start, 18 horsepower Vanguard engine. The only thing that might not work for you, which you could make it work, is the chute is made obviously for this machine, but it's made for the dump trucks. That's why it has this plate welded onto it, and it has the Little Wonder extensions welded into it. So This piece and this piece were the original piece, and then this was welded into it. But as you see it sit here, it could mount right on your trailer tongue and still be almost high enough to mount in. And if you did have to add an extension, you could still add it to the factory bottom piece here. You wouldn't have to cut and weld anything. So the tube could still work fine. The tubes in the inlet tubes in really good shape. Whole machine's turnkey, ready to go. I'm not sure what we're asking, but send us an email. Or send a comment below and we'll reach out to you. But that'll wrap the video up. We're going to get rid of this one. We could literally interchange them. It doesn't matter which one we sell because they're both in the same exact shape. But we're going to get rid of this one, and we're just about ready for leaves now, right?
Yeah, look, since we started the video this morning, look at the trees now. I feel like more leaves just came down.
Yeah, the driveway's covered already.
Yeah.
It's about 82 degrees today in the middle of October, which is nuts. But that'll wrap this video up. Let us know if you're interested in that. Let us know your comments on how we do the leaf box with the setup being underneath the dump body, and let us know your thoughts and subscribe if you're new.